Beyond Talking Points is an ongoing discussion series that examines the headline issues from various perspectives and promotes shared understanding. This new Humanities Washington program launched in fall of 2011 with a three-part series examining different perspectives on immigration. The second session took place October 25th at Bellevue City Hall and focused on the topic of immigrants as job creators. This video was recorded that evening.
And tonight we have the pleasure of having with us three entrepreneurs and business people who are all foreign born, but now call the United States home and are working on companies and their own ventures in the U.S. And I'm sure we'll have a very engaging conversation tonight about what it means to do business in the U.S. as an immigrant. Moderating our panel this evening is Enrique Serna, who is with KCTS Television. I'm going to hand it over to you, Enrique, and you can introduce our panelists.
Great.
So thank you.
Very
Thanks
much.
for being here.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you being here. But let me introduce our speakers that are here with me. First of all, there's down at the end is Murthy Kakura, or MK as he likes to be called. He's the president and CEO of 4AM Corporation. Also Beto Yarce, who's right next to him, he's the owner of Sidpi. He's also involved with Washington Cash, and we'll have more of an explanation about that. And Salish Jutani, co-founder and CEO of Mobisanti, and he used to be at Microsoft, but I think he's off in a whole new venture now, as we were talking a bit earlier. I'd like to have each one of them talk a little bit about what they are doing, what your business is, and particularly how you are doing this now. So why don't we start with you, son?
Sure. I'll go first. We have a company called Mobisanti, and I started this 2 years ago. And the whole idea is to make diagnostics affordable and accessible to people who can't have access to that. And we're starting with ultrasound imaging. And I think the premise here is very simple. If you want to provide healthcare to everyone who needs it, you have to move healthcare out of the hospitals, the expensive places like hospitals, into clinics and eventually inpatients.
When I came here 8 years ago, just an adventure. I tried to take 6 months after I finished my MBA, and I just decided to move to Seattle because I have friends here, and I said, okay, I'm just going to take an adventure for 6 months, and I just going to start working whatever. I didn't have any plan. I just want to be an adventure and entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since I'm 8, selling candies at my parents' house. So I love micro enterprise, micro small business, so that's what my passion is. So when I moved here, I started my business at the Fremont Sunday Market, selling little jewelry pieces, which I made myself. But 2 years when the economy hits, we try to diversify. We need to diversify the product because jewelry was not selling very well. So what we did, we incorporate folk art from Mexico, all handmade stuff from Mexico. And we have all local artists from Mexico who want to sell their product here. And it's more like a Latin experience. And it's doing very well. And what I'm doing today is just sharing my knowledge with all those Latinos who want to start their business, but they don't know how to navigate the system.
And what I do is to actually develop strategies for companies that want to enter into the emerging markets. Basically, develop their products, package their products, and then take them to developing countries. But how did I get into this? It's out of, necessity is the mother of invention. And sometimes mother is a necessity of invention too. So, that's how it started. I wanted to do something on my own, and that's where I am.
Immigrants coming to this country and becoming job creators. You guys really are, the prime example of this. But Neto, with the people that you work with, trying to give them that motivation and dream, what are you seeing? Is there this desire of the immigrants that you meet that they want to have their part of the American dream but create their own dream doing it?
Yeah, definitely. And as I say, they have a lot of challenges because it's people who have a lot of low income, and they come with a lot of dreams, and it's harder these days. It's harder. It used to be easier, and they come, they have not access to capital, they don't have access to money, they don't have credit, they're undocumented. But that's how we just create all this wonderful system to help them to figure it out how can they make their own dream as the answer. They probably are hitting the middle class. They are probably not became millionaires, but they have access to the stuff they always dream. What that means is like one of my clients just like last month was able to send her child for the first time to the university. It's going to be the first kid of her family going to University of Washington.
So what I'm really trying to encourage young people is to be self-sufficient, but also tap into the peer network in order to create jobs. They've come back to the society and said, how can you help us assimilate ourselves into the workforce? So we help them get into the internship program. But then at the same time, if there are companies that we know that are hiring, we would match the kids to the workforce. Once again, it all boils down to this: the immigrants want to be part of the society, and how we do that differs from people to people.
Can I offer a slightly
Yes.
different perspective?
Yeah.
So I think if you step up and say why and how jobs get created, and jobs get created because you're starting new industries, opening up new spaces, new markets, or you're seeing an opportunity that others didn't see, and then you start to capitalize that. And I think there is something interesting about the immigrant experience where immigrants find by design they're straddling different countries, different cultures, right? So for me, I have a network of professionals in India that I am in touch with. Clearly, I have a network here and I have a network in Europe. Also, I think immigrants are naturally attracted to fields that are changing very fast, fields that are evolving very fast, industries that are evolving very fast. They tend to be more merit-based because it's less important, how deep are your relationship with the people, it's can you deliver, right? So I think there is a natural meritocracy that exists in fields that are highly moving very fast. So you see this in biotech, you see in high tech. So I think those are the things that come about. So immigrants, they have bridges, they have the ability to also join some dots because they have their hands in so many things. So it's probably from that. And then there's some other things that kick in. I think there is a self-selection that happens. For you to leave an environment that's comfortable, where you have your family and friends, and take that jump. I mean, once you've taken that jump, all the other things like starting a company is really simple, emotionally and intellectually. So I think there is a self-selection that happens when people come this route. So the fact that they start companies is not surprising. In fact, I would assert we won't be having a conversation like this in a place like Silicon Valley, where I was for 10 years. Because the reality in Silicon Valley is majority of the companies are started by immigrants, especially in high tech. And so it's a given that's quite normal.
Thank you, Enrique, for moderating, and I'd like to thank our partners in this effort, the Boeing Company, which has provided funding for us to experiment with these formats and do this work, KCTS, and the King County Library System. On our website at www.humanities.org, there will be some articles that our friends at the Library System pulled together for us on this topic, suggested reading list if you'd like to learn more. Also on our website, you'll find on our calendar details on our next and final installment on perspectives on immigration, coming up again in a couple of weeks here in Bellevue.